Hello everyone, it's Connal Finlay here, the owner and director of the Cellar store down in New Zealand, and welcome to today's episode of the Cellar TV. So what we're trying today is a fantastic red wine from one of my favourite producers in the whole entire world. The producer itself is Channing Daughters. Channing Daughters is a winery in the Hamptons on the South Fork of Long Island, or around the Hamptons area in the South Fork of Long Island. And of course Long Island is Long Island, New York, and so that makes Channing Daughters not just one of the leading producers in Long Island and also in New York, but also, quite interestingly enough, they are one of the leading producers in the whole entire country, of the United States, that is. Of course, I'm down here in New Zealand. Anyway, so this particular red wine that we're trying today is their Rosso Fresco. Now what's interesting about this is that it's a field blend, which is something that Channing Daughters and Chris, the winemaker here, is particularly fond of. And so a field blend is basically, instead of growing a whole bunch of different grape varietals separately, then fermenting them separately, then making that wine, and then blending them in all together afterwards, that's quite a common thing to do. That's very, very normal practice and as far as winery is concerned. This instead, he's growing a whole bunch of grapes together and fermenting them together. Interesting. Anyway, so the particular grapes that we've got here, it's a real hodgepodge of things and 7 different grape varietals. 39% is Merlot, 21% Dornfelder, 18% Cabernet Franc, 16% Syrah, 3% Lagrein, 2% Teroldego, and 1% Blaufränkisch. Now, some of you are probably quite familiar with Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Syrah. I imagine if you're a big red wine drinker, you're familiar with all 3 of those grape varietals. But there are the other 4 here that you're probably not so familiar with. Dornfelder and Blaufränkisch, they are Austro-Hungarian grape varietals found in sort of the best wines, red wines up there in those particular countries, Austria and Hungary. Sometimes you'll find a little bit of Blaufränkisch also on sort of Germany. Anyway, and then you've also got Lagrein and Teroldego in this particular wine. They only make up 3% and 2% respectively, but Lagrein and Teroldego, they are 2 red grape varietals that are very, very common in sort of the Alpine grape varietals, so up in the Swiss Alps or the northeastern Italy regions of sort of Alto Adige and also in Friuli. So they're very, very important red grape varietals up there. So this is a real blend, as I say, of a whole bunch of really exciting sort of red grapes. Now what I love about this is that even though, of course, being from New York, and in America that is, this is a very New World wine, though on the nose, at least for me, initially it seems very, very Old World. It seems almost Côte d'Aronish, and sort of that Old World Syrah sort of flavour profile on this particular wine. And why I say that is because it sort of manages to sum up that juiciness and richness of the sort of those red berry fruit flavours and all the rest, which we'll get to in a moment, but it also has just that extra level of sort of complexity, as well as a little bit of sort of floral and earthiness all coming together in the glass, which is really quite exciting. Anyway, so let's give it a little smell. Sniff. So immediately you're getting a whole bunch of sort of, red berries, very much red berries, and a little bit of red cherry here as well. A little bit of sort of sour red cherry. But then those real black raspberry flavors are coming through. A little bit of sort of wild strawberry comes through. But more, honestly, now especially as it sort of opens up, getting a bit of dried red currants. As I said, that red cherry, that sort of sour red cherry note really does start to come up as it opens up. But then the floral aromatics sort of open up as well, and then you're getting a little bit of these sort of dried and crushed violets, a little bit of lavender in here as well, I'd say. And then that spiciness really starts to erupt from the glass, which is just lovely. So you're getting a little bit of clove, but then that sort of licorice, sort of that anise aspect comes through. Very, very mild. It is very much a fruit-forward sort of wine. All those beautiful red and sort of purplish sort of fruit flavours are very much dominant in this wine though. Anyway, let's give it a little taste. So I love it. It's juicy, it's fresh, it's ripe, and very concentrated here. And again, it's very much fruit friendly and fruit forward. All those beautiful sort of red plum, those cherry flavors coming through in spades here. Lots of red currant, sort of dried as well as fresh raspberry flavors coming through. A little bit of dried or sort of wild strawberry, that sort of spicy strawberry sort of flavor coming through. And then just as we're sort of figuring out the finish here, definitely a little bit of sort of vanilla, blackened vanilla bean, a little bit of that spiciness comes through, and then those sort of dried red and purple sort of flavors, floral flavors I should say, sort of those violets, a little bit of red rose comes through as well, especially on the finish. So it's lovely. There's a whole bunch of complexity in here, and I think for the price point it actually offers a really, really, really good value. I think at the moment we've got it on at $40. Sometimes we have it down on special for about $35 a bottle, and that's a really, really good steal. For me, as I say, this just sort of goes back to why I love Channing Daughters so much. They're making such food friendly and sort of people friendly and just fun and fruity sort of, well, red wines, white wines, all sorts of wines that they're making. They make quite a few wines, that's for sure, and all of them a very, very small batch, which is great because every single wine sort of gets that extra little bit of detail. Whereas, of course, on a bigger scale, then you wouldn't really be able to do that. Anyway, so this has been the Channing Daughters, the Rosso Fresco from the 2014 vintage. Absolutely lovely. So please do like away, comment away, let us know if you've had any of the other wines from Channing Daughters, if you've had this particular wine as well, or if you've heard of any of those other little grape varietals, the La Green, the Teraldego, the La Frankic or Dornfelder. They're a little bit interesting, a little bit exciting, and it's probably a good reason why you should probably try this out. If you haven't tried those grape varietals before, you should pick up a bottle, see what they're kind of like in many respects. So we've got all the information down there below for you if you wanted to pick up a bottle or just learn a little bit more about it. It's much appreciated. Of course, if you have liked the video, please do feel free to subscribe. Again, button all below, as I'm sure if your YouTube watches, then you'll know where the subscribe button is. And of course, I say check out a few of our other videos as well, because we've got a whole bunch of other sort of tasting videos, not just of New York wines, but of other American wines, Italian wines, German wines, all sorts of stuff, to all sort of help and expand your knowledge on wine. Very much our ideal and our motto here at the Cellar TV. Anyway, and of course, please do share away with all your other sort of wine-loving friends and family. It's much appreciated. I'm Connal Finlay. This has been the Cellar TV. Cheers.